A treaty of control. One to rule them all. It doesn't ever go well. The struggle for power, or what occurs after it is gained. Even in the mythical settings of monsters, evil and magic, something or someone requires ultimate power over everything. But instead of a ring, a sword, a crystal, or whatever item they portray in the stories, this one is a piece of paper. Bit more along the lines of what we are used to. Declarations, agreements, alliances and treaties. And that is the one being used for this power play. And although real, is also mythical. Because that piece of paper isn't magic, it's just paper. And sometimes is put into motion with only a handshake or verbal agreement which starts the hypnotising process. Yet it commands an unreal hold over people, for no good reason it would seem. Signed into agreements, contracts, certificates and binding words as you would with a spell. Yet the witches and wizards of today are not burnt at the stake, as we are led to believe they once would have been. See my article, A Witch, How Convenient, for an angle on that. This particular agreement being discussed by people who shouldn't be in charge of holding a pencil, let alone the health of the world, in the pandemic treaty. My brief article, One Treaty to Bind Them All, touched upon it. But now it seems to be trying to move to the next phase, although not going entirely well. Not all are on board, and the countries that are ignore the current mood, information, statistics, and reality to press ahead with a failing plan. But one which seems to have so much invested in it, of now and the future, that they will not let it go. Because it leads in nicely to their overall plan of having a Ministry of Monitoring, centralised over people's health and being wielded as a system of control thereafter. And while they make these moves towards extra surveillance of your most personal being throughout your life from that cradle to grave they covet so much, obstacles are placed and routes of escape are minimised to catch the prey, destabilising countries and economies, causing untold stress and issues for people in their lives when it comes to being able to afford to live and get by. Completely deliberate, of course, because they don't want people being able to support themselves or look after themselves. And the worst thing people could possibly do is get along. Division has been a handy tool for the longest time, and is nurtured. More so recently, and seems to be getting worse. Networks and communities are the opposite of what is required going forward, as is self-sustainability. So anyone in those arenas seems to be under even bigger attack. I always liked this line from Luna in Harry Potter. Well, if I were you-know-who, I'd want you to feel cut off from everyone else. Because if it's just you alone, you're not as much of a threat. And one can't but help notice in certain places, there is something mobilising, and it seems on both sides, setting the scene for whatever showdown is set for this year, and the many strange years yet to come.